Hi guys, my name is Kira and I'll be delivering a training session on the importance of problem solving within a travel and tourism environment and the travel and tourism industry. Before I begin, I would just like to try and learn your names quickly, so one by one, could you please tell me your name, age and one fact about yourself? I will start off. My name is Kira, I'm 19 and I enjoy spending time with my family.
My name is 19. My name is Olivia, I'm 19 and I enjoy food.
My name is Farah, I'm 20 and I like spending time with my family.
My name's Jamila, I'm 20 and I like spending time with my local family.
My name's Holly, I'm 17 and I work too much.
Hi, I'm Anna May, I'm 18 and I work in a chippy.
Hi, I'm Lucy, I'm 19 and I work at the Bell Bottle.
My name's Zayn, I'm 18 and I love travelling.
My name's Paige, I'm 17 and I like going on holiday.
My name's Bella, I'm 19 and I sing.
Alright, okay, now we've introduced ourselves, I've left a folded piece of paper on your desk for you to write your name so I can learn for this session. Once done, you can please to the faculty where they'll be visible. Everybody done? Okay, so the main objectives of this training session are for you to have an understanding of how problem solving can be effective in your workplace. I will explain what problem solving is, identify why problem solving is important, provide you with a video to watch that will help improve your understanding, go through methods of problem solving, leave you to figure out how you would deal with certain situations that you will need to answer on the feedback sheet provided, and I have also put together some activities that you need to participate in because they will help you improve your understanding. Does anybody have any questions before we begin? No? Okay. So, what is problem solving? Problem solving is the process of finding solutions to difficult or complex issues within your workplace. This may include you to work individually and use individual thinking, or it may require you to work as a group to solve the problem because it may be more complicated. You would problem solve by either using one method or multiple methods that are in an appropriate and effective order. Why is problem solving important? Problem solving is important because it is a universal job skill that applies to basically any position and every industry, including travel and tourism. It can be used every day, which is more likely to be more than once. There will always be a problem to be solved, whether it is a major problem or not. While everyone is tasked with some form of problem solving in their workplace, not all employees are good at it, which is why it is important for you to learn what problem solving is and why it is important. And why is problem solving important to us? Problem solving is important to us because it is something we use daily, although we don't notice. This could include how you tie your shoelace in the morning to what you decide to have for breakfast, lunch or dinner. To make it more relevant to the actual objective, you may come across technical problems on either a computer system or phone when attending to a customer, and you need to figure out what to do about it. I will now be showing you a short video for the perspective as a student at school. I chose this video because I assume you've all been to school, so hopefully this will be able to improve your understanding as you have had experience. If you'd like, feel free to write any notes.
You might. Oh no, it's doing it, yeah.
Sorry.
It's alright.
Okay, so based on what you've just watched, here are some ways you could deal with problems you may face in the travel and tourism industry. At your job, depending on your job role, you may be given tasks to complete in a certain amount of time, which result in having more than one deadline for multiple tasks. And how does problem solving help this situation? Problem solving will help this situation because you will need to wisely make the best of the time you have by prioritising which is due first and which is the bigger piece of work. You'll manage much better by balancing your workload and working out a plan, including the size of the work and the one that requires more or less. The second one is if working in a call centre or a job that requires you to deal with customers by selling them products or holidays, you may make a mistake and sell your client a holiday or product they aren't satisfied with. So how does problem solving help this situation? Problem solving helps this situation by the method learning and adapting. First, you would need to work out where you're going wrong and come up with a strategy to get around it because it is a great problem-solving skill. If you can demonstrate this ability to an employer before possibly making this mistake to a customer, they'll know that they won't have to sit with you for hours on end explaining the same thing over and over again, and you'll be more trusted to do your job properly alongside other customers. There are three main methods of problem solving. The first is trial and error, the second is algorithm, and the third is heuristic. Heuristics also include working backwards and using means-end analysis. The trial and error method of problem solving is when you would typically just try and guess a solution. You are very unlikely to find an answer and solve the problem, though it is still possible. Using the algorithm strategy is somewhat like trial and error. However, you use logic and a step-by-step procedure. This actually guarantees you a correct solution eventually, but can also take time. And heuristics don't guarantee a correct solution and is actually a mental shortcut for you to create. This means you typically think of things that are familiar and come to mind that stands out. This then cuts out everything that is least likely going to be the solution because you have already eliminated them as you have figured out the most likely solutions. There are two types of heuristics. The first is means-end. Means-end means that you will analyse a problem and break it down into smaller problems, which will make it easier to find solutions. An example of this would be if you were travelling to another country. Your main problem would be distance. You would break this problem down into smaller steps such as booking a flight. That's one problem solved. This will lead to smaller problems such as travelling to and from the airport, luggage, food, and so on. The second heuristic is working backwards. With working backwards, instead of working from your current situation to your goal state like you would when using the means-end technique, you start with your goal state and use it to suggest connections back to your current state. So, if I gave you 6 sticks and asked you to create 4 equilateral triangles with these 6 sticks, how would you do it? Could anybody know? Okay.
4.
Most, does anybody?
4. Oh wait.
Wasn't it?
Wait. Can I just use the pens? If you put them on top, I think. No, but you do it like. No, because I don't want it.
Yeah, what's that? How many of you?
That's 4, 5, 6. No, that's more than 3,
Ah,
4, 5, 6. That's more than 6.
Okay.
no.
Most people get stuck in thinking about this problem in a 2-dimensional way. This act of getting stuck is called fixation. The answer, though, requires you to think about the problem in 3 dimensions, so 3D. You need to create a triangle pyramid with 6 matches in order to form 4 equilateral triangles. So the that would be 1, that would be
Yeah.
that would be 1, the other, and then like the bottom layer.
Yeah.
Okay. The heuristics we talked about wouldn't quite work. However, something called insight might have once you figured out it wasn't a 2D shape, but much rather it was a 3D shape. Insight is known as an aha moment you may suddenly get and either remember something or figure something out spontaneously. Okay, so now I have given you information on what the different methods of problem solving are, I would like you to think about how you would deal with certain situations you may face. Everyone is tasked with some form of problem solving in their workplace. Oh, sorry. I have 3 scenarios related to travel and tourism. How would you deal with these certain situations? I'll give you some time to think about it and then pick 3 of you to answer each one. The first is overbooked tables in a restaurant. The second is overbooked legroom on a flight. And the third is an invalid voucher code. So if you could all think about that, please. Have you all thought about at least one of them? Okay, so Jamila, could you please answer the first scenario for overbooked tables in a restaurant? How would you deal with that situation?
I'd apologise first, and then if I can't arrange another table for them, then I would give them their money back and arrange for them to come back another time on the house.
That's a perfect answer. I wrote down you would apologise, try and compromise with additional tables if available, and offer a discount, etc. So, Lucy, could you please answer the second scenario where there's overbooked leg rooms on a flight?
Apologise, and then I don't know.
You would definitely apologise. That's fine.
Yeah.
Does anybody else know how to?
Would you not offer them discount on the next flight?
Yeah.
Or would you see if there's any more seats available to get extra luxury?
Yeah, you could do. I wrote down you would apologise, compensate the money they have lost, and offer a complimentary upgrade if possible or a gift. So these are right. And Bella, could you please answer the third scenario where there's an invalid voucher code?
What if the guests had like an invalid voucher?
Yeah,
Or-
so
or-
if I was the person and you was a customer and you tried giving me an invalid voucher,
Alright,
that
okay.
didn't work.
First of all, we tell them like it's an invalid voucher
Yeah.
and try and see if maybe it's the way like they tried to get it, and then depending on how they come across, I might give them the discount.
That's about right. Like you would explain, apologise, try find another voucher for their expense, ask for an email for future vouchers to be sent. So now you have had some type of idea how you would answer these 3 scenarios. I have included them in the quiz sheet I'll be providing you with at the end. So now we've got through all the interesting stuff, I figured it is about time to get you to participate in an activity so I can see your problem solving skills in action. This activity is called Cut That Cake. The rules are that I will hand you each a cake, which you can't eat at the moment, sorry, and I'll give you the task of cutting this cake into 8 pieces. Though this might sound like a simple task, if you don't already know how to do this, you might find it difficult. You can only use no more than 3 cuts to create the 8 pieces. I'll give you 5 minutes to attempt this, and feel free to speak to who you're sat with and possibly work together if you can't figure out yourself. So,
There's a way to this. No.
It's on that one.
Go so far.
I know how to do it.
And I do it.
Oh yeah, that's only 6.
Wait, how many?
I know how to do it.
Do you know?
Go on then. on, mate.
No, I'm going to watch you do that first. It's hard with the smoking.
Obviously you're going to get
How many pieces is it? You definitely need to that's two.
No, look, I've tried drawing it out.
What flavour is it?
I think they're just banana.
Thank you.
You definitely need
A size for 3 cups.
They just coughed off.
Oh, stop eating.
I know.
1, 2, 3 square.
Is it for 1? Yeah. Sorry, they're not the best cakes.
I know.
I don't want to keep getting to this.
No.
I think
Kind of like doing what they're kind
Yeah, but you don't know what way you need it.
It's the same way, even look.
Might not be.
It will be the same way either.
Either.
Yes, I will figure it out.
It doesn't matter what.
I tried drawing it out.
It's still gonna be
There's only
I
3
remember
colours.
that. I don't know
Right, so
what
you do it like that?
Yeah, thank you.
Right, I'm drawing it out before we actually do it.
Would you just like some tissues afterwards?
Yeah, please.
I can remember that. I remember it.
I'll do it.
No, I don't mind doing it. It's going to do me head in as well when the album gets
But when you see it being done,
Right.
you'll go, oh, it's had it.
Right. And then put them on top.
Yeah,
And cut them to an arm.
in the middle and cut.
Right.
You put them on top, then cut it, but I can't do that because it's going to fall.
Yeah.
So what do you mean like that?
Yeah.
Right, I've done it, but it's kind of
Not the best cake.
It worked though. I know how to do it.
Wow,
Right, cut it. Cut it to 4 and then put. Right, cut it to 4 and then put 2 on top of the other 2 and then put that one in half. It'll work, but
How do you do it?
Just explain it.
I need to put my little.
yeah, she told me.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, and then
You know how to do it?
Yeah.
You, oh, you can't do it with these cakes.
they're a bit small,
Yeah,
aren't they?
they're quite crumbly,
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, we get the idea, so
Yeah.
we'll just eat them.
Do you not know?
Like that.
No.
1.
She spent this time doing it, that's why.
Do you cut it like that?
Yeah.
I don't want to cut it like this. Gonna do it.
Hey.
Hey.
Cycling.
So,
Yeah. You do one.
Yeah.
Because it don't matter as long as there's a.
What, then cut it again?
You're only allowed 3 slices, aren't you?
Get it.
3 cuts, aren't it?
I see some of you might have got it, almost got it, or you didn't, which is okay, and I'll show you how. So, obviously you take your fingers out, and then you would cut it, like you would 4 pieces, so in half again. They're not the best cakes, and then you would cut it like through the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you would have 8 pieces.
Can we eat it
Yeah, so now I've demonstrated, if you like to eat what is left of your cake, you can as a reward for trying.
Pass it
Okay.
down.
So, as you have only really done one activity, and I want this session to be as interesting as possible, I've decided on a second. This second activity you might recognise from when you were a child. It's called Wink Murder. Wink Murder is a great example of a game that includes problem-solving techniques. This is because The person chosen as a detective will be the one who has to solve the problem of who the murderer is. And those that may be murdered will have to figure out who the murderer is themselves, for them to either be winked or waved at, so you can either like wave or wink at somebody. Although this game may sound rather childish, I would like you to all please participate and have fun, like you all still have an inner child inside of you. If you don't know how to play, here are the rules. A detective will be chosen and will need to be moved out of sight, so they'll be removed out of the room. You'll remain stood in a circle and a murderer will then be chosen. You'll have to figure this out yourself. You will then call the detective back, who is standing in the middle of the circle, so you just need to yell detective. If the murderer winks or waves at you, you will need to sit down or be as dramatic as you want. You will now be dead. If you're the detective, you're responsible to use your initiative and figure out who the murderer is. You will have 3 guesses. If you guess correct, you get to choose the next detective. If you get it wrong 3 times, the murderer gets to become the detective. So, if you'd all like to stand up into a circle in the So if you could all stand in a circle, please. Do you all understand how to play?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So you just need to like be stood in like an actual circle. Yeah, sorry. Would anybody like to volunteer to be the detective?
You shut up.
Where did that come from? Oh, yeah.
Look, she said Zayn.
Zayn.
She said mine.
Right, so you all need to like close your eyes and I'll tap your shoulder if you're going to be the murderer. So before we begin, does like the murderer understand what they need to be doing?
No.
Okay, so say I picked Parvinder as the murderer. She would either wave discreetly or like try to discreetly like wink at you. And if she does, like if you've noticed that, then you're dead. So you have to either sit down, like you can like move back if you really wanted to, or just like be dead like dramatic because you're dying. So do you get that now? Okay, so if you all close your eyes.
Then, right, say if you touch your shoulder, you can't tell anyone like you're the murderer. So say if you go like this,
Yeah.
at me, like wink at me, like.
But don't make it.
I just yeah, you can't make it.
The page doesn't know who it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get
And
you.
she has to
Yeah, I
figure
get
out.
you, yeah,
And
yeah.
and like all of you need to guess who the murderer is yourselves to be like murdered. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you all close your eyes and I'll pick the murderer. Right, okay, I've chosen the murderer. So I'm sure the murderer should know who they are. Detective.
What? You shout detective. Shout detective.
Detective!
Can't hear you.
Am I going back in the circle?
You need to go in the centre of the circle.
Oh, in the middle.
Okay, so the murderer can start murdering.
My head? Yeah. So I'm just out of the game now?
Already.
You get 3 guesses, Paige.
Yeah, it is.
Someone else is it?
Bella. That's 1 guess wrong.
You should be dead. Wow.
Jamila. That's the 2nd guess wrong.
Anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were winking at me.
I saw her winking at her, so I went, let me know.
Okay, so
I'm like, I knew it was you. Yeah. It was coming from this area and it went me and I looked at
I
fire.
thought you were
Paige, could you please choose the next detective?
She said my name.
his name, not yours.
Right, Paula, you got time.
She's not pointing.
That's right, sure. You.
Yeah, quick ways, whichever. Okay, so if you all close your eyes, who's the next detective?
I can't close my eyes and stand.
Well, maybe you can. Come on.
Alright, you can all open your eyes and yell detective, please.
Detective!
Okay, murderer, you can start murdering.
No.
No, I think that's wrong.
Second guess wrong.
Second guess wrong.
I don't even know if I'm supposed to be there.
That's your third guess wrong. Would the murderer like to announce themselves?
Me?
Are you taking me?
She looked at me.
Why did you go now? I was
Right, can we play one more time?
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I want to go out. I
Yeah,
want to
but
go
then
out.
when?
She was thinking, I think she was thinking.
Everyone's got to give
it.
Are we not supposed to inform who the murderer is?
No, until you need to guess it yourself.
So everyone needs to keep their eyes on
I know.
Okay, so Bella, because they didn't guess you, you're going to be the detective.
Bye, Felicia.
Alright, so you will stand back to your circle.
I want to be a detective.
You could have said that on a picture.
You can
Alright,
go.
if you all close your
Follow me.
eyes, I'll choose the next murderer. Okay, you can all open your eyes and yell detective.
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 Oh yeah, I'm
And murderer, you can begin.
I can't wait to get out of dress.
She went.
You could have waved.
I think the fella even got me.
Bella, would you like to choose the next detective?
Can I go out?
Right, just
Okay.
please just go pick me
You're
because I
not
can't wait.
She looked at her and she went.
Right.
I should have made that.
How many rounds more do you want? Not too many.
2 more.
You want 2 more?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 more after this. Okay. If you'll close your eyes, I'll choose the next murderer. Okay, you can all open your eyes and yell detective.
Detective.
I already know who it is.
It was well wasn't very
Okay, you can begin murdering.
Oh, she already begun
Jamila.
No. You have 2 more guesses.
Paige.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so would you like to choose the next?
I kept going to you, and she still.
Yes.
Olivia.
Olivia, you know the detective. Back in the circle. 1 more round after this one, okay?
But you don't know who it is? I told everyone and no one guessed it.
You're waiting for a
Right.
Winky, like, who was who?
Okay, so if you'll close your eyes, I'll choose the next murderer. Yeah, you can open your eyes now. If you yell detective.
You're not supposed to know.
Detective.
What would you say?
Detective.
No, I swear. She goes crazy.
And murderer, you can begin.
Is it Lucy?
2 more guesses.
Zane?
Yes.
Because I didn't follow that.
Okay, so the last round, would anybody like to offer to be the detective?
Oh.
Okay, Jamila. Okay, so if you'll close your eyes,
Detective Mama.
if you'll close your eyes, I'll choose the next detective. I mean the murderer. Okay, you can open your eyes. Yeah, oh yes, you're a detective.
Detective!
And the murder can begin.
Saw me, she did it right in front of me. I can't win. I can't do it.
So have you worked it out? Yeah? Okay. That was the last round, so if you'd like to go sit back down.
That's it.
Maya's very
Should have had a ball.
Probably just walked out.
Right.
You know what I said you can't win it? You did it maybe
Okay, so did everybody enjoy that?
Yeah.
Okay. I understand it is quite childish, but compared to having you sit there listening to me continually talk, I figured I'd get you to do an activity that you may be familiar with and could help with your understanding of problem solving. So, I'm now going to hand out a quiz sheet. If you could please answer these questions in as much detail as possible, I'd strongly appreciate that. So, hand out these.
That's mine.
It's just hard to put it down there.
So this quiz isn't actually there for you to get any answers back, so don't worry if you got any wrong. It's just for me to know that you have learned something during this session. I'll give you a few more minutes. Okay, so in your packs, there's also a feedback sheet which I'd like you all to fill out afterwards. So if everybody would just like to look back up. So during this session, we have gone through what problem solving is, identified why problem solving is important, watched a video that hopefully helped improve your understanding, went through different methods of problem solving, learned how to deal with certain situations you may face, and participated in different activities that again hopefully helped you improve your understanding of problem solving. And if you wouldn't mind removing any rubbish from the desks and leaving your feedback and quiz sheets on the desk, you're welcome to leave the session.